Long ago, in a peaceful village called Shantivan, an elderly couple named Raghav and Sita lived a humble life. They were once among the most respected farmers in the village, owning wide stretches of fertile land. However, they sold most of their property to educate their only son, Vikram. They believed that knowledge was more valuable than land, and they wanted their son to live a life free from struggle. Their sacrifices bore fruit. Vikram studied hard, secured a prestigious job in the city, and moved there with his wife Priya and their young son Arav. Raghav and Sita kept only a small piece of farmland for themselves. Though their bodies had grown weak with age, they continued farming to sustain themselves. Each season they sowed seeds with hope, but fate often tested them. Heavy rains ruined their crops one year, pests destroyed them the next. Still, they endured quietly. One evening, as they rested outside their modest home, Sita said softly, "We are not as strong as we used to be. Your hands shake while lifting tools, and I can barely carry water." Raghav sighed. "If we stop farming, how will we survive? I don't want to depend on Vikram." "But he is our son," Sita replied gently. "We gave him everything. Perhaps it is time we live with him." After days of hesitation, they packed their belongings and traveled to the city. Vikram welcomed them with warmth and respect. Arav hugged his grandparents tightly, excited to hear stories from his grandmother again. Priya greeted them politely, though she seemed slightly uneasy about the new arrangement. The first few days were joyful. Arav sat beside Sita every evening, listening to tales of brave princes, clever birds, and magical forests. Raghav helped Arav with homework and shared stories about village life. The house felt lively. However, as days turned into weeks, Priya began feeling overwhelmed. Managing the household, caring for her child, and balancing social commitments felt heavier with 2 additional members. One night she said to Vikram, "Your parents said they would stay a few days. How long will they remain? I'm exhausted." Vikram replied cautiously, "They're old, Priya. They cannot manage alone in the village." "But I am managing everything here," she argued. "I need help too." Gradually, her attitude changed. She delayed serving meals and often complained loudly about extra work. Raghav and Sita noticed, but chose silence to avoid conflict. They never wanted to become the reason for tension in their son's home. One evening, the family returned late after dining out. No food had been kept aside for the elderly couple. Hungry and weak, Raghav drank water and lay down. Sita whispered, "Let us not complain. We will manage." The next morning, she gently asked Priya if something simple could be prepared for Raghav. Priya responded sharply, "The kitchen is there. You could have cooked. I can't do everything." Sita returned to her room quietly, hiding her tears. Their neighbor, Mrs. Geetha, a kind retired nurse, often visited and sensed their sadness. "You must speak to your son," she advised kindly. But Raghav shook his head. "We did not raise him to feel torn between his parents and his wife." Meanwhile, Priya's frustration grew. She suggested to Vikram, "There is a comfortable retirement home nearby. They will have friends of their age and proper care. We can visit every month." Vikram resisted at first, but constant arguments drained him. Finally, he gave in. With heavy hearts, Raghav and Sita agreed, not wanting to disrupt their son's peace. They moved to Silver Oaks Elder Care, where they met other residents. Among them was Mr. Iyer, a retired professor whose children lived abroad and rarely visited. "We give our children wings to fly, but sometimes they forget the nest they came from." Raghav listened silently, wondering where things had gone wrong. A few weeks later, Vikram visited with Arav. The boy ran to his grandparents. "Why do you live here?" he asked innocently. "It is a place for older people," Vikram explained. "So when you and Mama become old, I will bring you here too," Arav said cheerfully. The simple statement pierced Vikram's heart. That night, Arav excitedly told his parents about his future plans: studying hard, earning money, buying a big house, and sending Mama and Papa to a nice old age home when they get old. Priya felt her throat tighten. She imagined herself sitting alone in such a place one day. "We are teaching him this," she whispered. Vikram lowered his head. I failed them. The next morning, they rushed to Silver Oaks. Raghav and Sita were surprised to see them so early. "Please come home," Vikram said, tears in his eyes. "I forgot my duty. You cared for me when I could not stand on my own feet. Now it is my turn." Priya held Sita's hands and said sincerely, "Mother, forgive me. I was thinking only of my convenience. I forgot that one day I too will grow old." Mr. Iyer watched quietly, a faint smile on his face, hoping that maybe his own children would remember him someday. Back home, things slowly improved. Priya reorganized her routine and involved Sita in light activities so she felt respected rather than burdensome. Raghav began teaching Arav gardening on the apartment balcony, planting small herbs and flowers. Mrs. Geetha often visited, delighted to see harmony restored. Every night Arav listened to new stories, stories about kindness, responsibility, and gratitude. The house once filled with tension now echoed with laughter. Years passed. Arav grew into a responsible young man, deeply respectful toward his parents and grandparents. The lesson he had learned as a child stayed with him forever. The moral of the story: children learn how to treat their parents by watching their own parents. When we honor and care for our elders with love and gratitude, we build a future where that same love returns to us.
Let's start with the mint.
Hello everyone.